Hi, this is Plate Glass Armor, and I'm recording the Wooden Winged War. This is a small resource limit tournament in From the Depths, and this is episode 0, the entry showcase, which is of all 16 entries that will be participating in the tournament, and it is done in alphabetical order of the username that submitted it. So, without further ado, we start with the FAO4 Siphon by Adnecrius. And um, this is the only design that has two APS with at least 200 RPM. So both of these guns are quite high fire rate. And it's one of the only entries that has that level of redundancy with a decent amount of resources poured into both guns. And then it has these underwing 60 millimeter assault cannons. The next is the Fizzle Mark II by Cornholio. And it has the fastest hollow point shells of any craft. And it's this interesting sort of Star Wars speeder shape. Next we have the Risen God Iron Lard by Captain Iron Lad, which is a pyramid with Obama's head on it, and it blares music the whole time it's on the field. I'm not entirely sure what to say about that. Oh yeah, and it has the highest fire rate of any entry, firing little tiny bullets at 1500 RPM, which is a little bit ridiculous. Next are the two by Eigenfunction. So we have the CTF Cavalier and the PF1 Chartreuse, and they are both controlled by incredibly complex breadboards. So they have quite sophisticated behavior compared to some of the built-in AI. So they will be very dangerous in a dogfighting situation because they have a lot of fine-tuned control. Next we have the Banana Jet and the Red Baron, which are both by Gray Miniham. The Banana Jet has the smallest timed shells of any entry at 25 millimeter timed explosive shells, but it fires quite a lot of them. It is firing at 640 RPM, so it is trying to saturate the air with lots of little explosions, hoping to knock off wings and ailerons and other control surfaces. The Red Baron, on the other hand, has a gun with the highest muzzle velocity of any entry at a whopping 1,835 meters per second, and the only fixed simple weapon of any entry. It also uses tilting of Dedi blades, which I didn't know was an option until I had seen this entry. Apparently, you can control Dedi blade tilt with control blocks. So this entry uses that to its advantage to try to turn a little bit sharper. Next, we have two entries by JDog123, the Arrow Shark, and the Bootleg Duck. So the Arrow Shark is the only timed frag uh, advanced cannon in the tournament. So it's hoping to accomplish something similar to Flak in the sense that it's trying to do large range explosions. It's not very fast firing, but the frags are quite dangerous to wood. The Arrow Shark, on the other hand, the Bootleg Duck, on the other hand, has these massive 121 millimeter 6-barreled guns with very low fire rate, but the most simultaneous fire of any entry in the tournament. And they're all doing timed high explosive and frag. So if you get anywhere near a predictable flight path, this entry will be very dangerous for you, particularly in the first few salvos. Next we have Lewis Theron's P-38 Lightning, which has the most guns of any entry at 7. So it has 4 that are 60 millimeter heavy head kinetics, and 1 that is a I don't remember. I think it's a high explosive, a timed high explosive. It's one of the entries that has both simple weapons mounted on turrets. Next up we have Pendle Rose Arrowhead, and it is firing mixed heat HESH rounds, and it's the only HESH advanced cannon in the tournament. It's also very fast. With all these slopes, it has very little drag relative to its size. Next we have my own entry, the Death Frame, which is trying to maximize the potential of the control surfaces by extending them out as far as possible. So while the body is nice and smooth, the control surfaces are all on the edges of this rectangular prism. And then this is my other entry, which is the Wiggler, which is only 2 blocks tall other than the tail. And it's intentionally very erratic behavior. So if there are relatively slow shells, it will try to dodge them by having unpredictable movement, giving the travel time enough leeway to move out of the way of the shells. Then we have Scribbles McGee, I Am in Actual Pain, which has 2 frag rounds, which fire at different fire rates, which is unusual for having multiple advanced cannons in this tournament. The only other one that does that is the P-38 Lightning with its many guns. Next we have the Vienna Sausage by Tajimmer, and it's one of the only 2 entries that uses 2-meter long shells, and it's also one of the only 2 entries that uses 121 millimeter rounds. So these hollow points are going to be extremely powerful if they hit. And finally, we have Close But No Cigar by Tyrannus, which has 6 APS guns, and the entire thing is very densely packed to have the most armor of any of the entries, with at least 3 blocks of wooden armor surrounding any part other than the wood on the outside. And with that, I will post the bracket and start doing the fights, probably posting them tomorrow. So I'll see you then.